Good morning, or depending when you're watching this, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. My name's Ross, and as always told, out of Voice of Radio. So today, we need to take a good old look at a bunch of new cards that have been revealed for Pokemon Card 151. Pokemon have gone and shown us, I think it's fair to say, some of the most exciting cards from Pokemon Card 151, and that means we can take a good old look, and I am delighted. And if we're going for the original Kanto, the original 151, etc., probably seems like a pretty good place to start with Pikachu, because they've gone and shown us the illustration rare Pikachu. And look, I have made absolutely no bones about the fact that in my eyes, the Okacheke Pikachu is the best Pikachu they've ever done. I feel very confident about that. For my personal opinion, I think the Okacheke Pikachu is the best one that's ever been done. I think it's absolutely stunning. I think this one is very close behind. I still prefer the Okacheke Pikachu, don't get me wrong. I think Paldea Evolved has still given us the best Pikachu, but make no mistake about it, and when I say Paldea Evolved, I don't mean the EX, I mean the regular one. This is very close behind and is absolutely stunning. There are a bunch of illustration rares that are coming around in this particular set. There are a bunch of them that are very, very good. But oh my word, ladies and gentlemen, this is absolutely one of the best. And in terms of playability, let's not get too excited, right? Single energy, search for a basic lightning and attach it to this Pokemon? No, because you're just going to get KO'd and that's going to be a waste. Unless you really want energy in your discard and you're willing to give up a prize to get energy in your discard, in which case I suppose it's good. And then free energy 50 on a 60 HP basic. Nah, man, the card's trash playability-wise. But in terms of the artwork, just look. Because this is one of those cards where you look at it and you're like, oh, there's a Gengar right in the foreground. And then you're like, oh, there's an Arcanine poking in from the side. And then you notice the Blastoise. And then you notice the Nidoran. And then you notice the Pidgey. And then the Psyduck saying hello. And then the more you look at this, the more Pokemon you notice. And then you start thinking, well, hang on a second, have I missed any? The answer might be yes. This is a stunning, wonderful card. Absolutely love it. But one of the cards that may well end up being the card from the set is Erika's Invitation. Because, ladies and gentlemen, this is, if you look at the Japanese version of the set at least, this is the biggest card in the set. In terms of value at least, this is number one. And in terms of playability, this is actually a pretty cool card. Your opponent reveals their hand, you pop a basic Pokemon from there onto your bench and switch it into the active. It basically allows you to attack a Pokemon in your opponent's hand, a basic Pokemon in their hand. Which is ridiculous, that is not the kind of thing we generally get to do. So being able to basically attack a Pokemon that's hiding in your opponent's hand is great. Think about how Drapion is such a ridiculous counter to Mew decks. And what you basically get to do here is, if you're the Mew player, you can take that basic Drapion out of your opponent's hand and immediately attack it. So your opponent's now got to worry about keeping it in their hand. It's a very cool card. But that is not what's driving the value of this card. It is the fact, and this generally tends to happen, right, for every set over in Japan, they will pick a supporter card and go, right, and by they I mean like the community as a whole, the player base, and they'll go, right, this is the big card now. And they did that with Erika's Invitation here. And the artwork is absolutely ridiculously over-the-top stunning. And I do need to mention there's a great callback here to Erika's Perfume. A card we got years and years and years and years and years ago back in the gym sets. And clearly this is, I mean, look at the cards side by side. And Erika's holding the perfume. And this is very clearly a callback to that card, which I very much appreciate. So thematically, this card is absolutely wonderful, but it's just the artwork. The artwork here is absolutely stunning. And remember the deal. These Japanese cards get ridiculously expensive, and then the sets are hard to get hold of, and the price remains ridiculously high. I have got a box, they did 151 to order over in Japan, so I've got a single box of 151, which is going to be winging its way to me at some point, hopefully in the not too distant future. If I do not pull this card out of that single box from Japan, I'm never getting this card in Japanese, because it's just way too expensive. The English version, however, yeah, there's a pretty decent chance. Like, bearing in mind, recently, the biggest card recently in the Pokemon TCG has been Iono. Because super popular character, special illustration rare, and ridiculously playable because of the whole, you know, it's a staple in every deck because it's disruption and draw power and it's really good. Well, that started life as like a $175 card. It's dropped down to a $100 card. In Japan, the idea of buying this for $100 is kind of hilarious, honestly. It's so much more expensive than that. It's way cheaper in English. And Erica is nowhere near as playable as Iono here, so there's no way Erica settles as a $100 card. It is definitely going to be probably a fair bit cheaper than Iono. And that's what makes me happy about these cards in English. Because we look at a Japanese version, and either you get very lucky pulling it, or you got a much larger Pokemon TCG budget than I, or you just end up never getting a card. But in English, that's not the case. This card is going to be way cheaper, and I love the artwork on this card. I'm never owning the Japanese card unless I get it in my one box, which would be a ridiculous luck. Although I have had some good luck with Japanese boxes lately. But yeah, the English version, nice and simple. Now, we have had a couple other secret rares revealed, but weirdly, while doing these reveals, Pokemon have gone and given us a bunch of secret rares and really exciting cards, and then Gyarados. And Gyarados is clearly the odd one out here. Now, I will say, it's got a weird ability. When you play this Pokemon from your hand to evolve one of your Pokemon during this turn, you must discard the top 5 cards of your deck. Can be quite good if you're playing something like, let's say Wormadam as an example, where the goal of Wormadam is to try and just get as many Pokemon in your discard pile as you can to do extra damage. So yes, there is a possibility here that you're playing something like Wormadam and you do actually want to just discard the top 5 cards of your deck. But even then, randomly discarding the top 5 cards can be very, very risky because you end up discarding stuff you really want. Like Wormadam may well end up wanting to use double turbo energy, but you can only play 4 of them in your deck, and if you randomly hit one from Gyarados, that's a big problem. So I'm a little worried about that. But regardless, it's there, and it's a kind of an awkward ability. And then 4 energy, 200, discard an energy from your opponent's active. And look, there is an argument for Gyarados, and the argument basically is 200 damage on a single prize Pokemon is really good. You can combine this with Baxcalibur, and then getting the energy on is pretty easy, because Baxcalibur lets you attach as much water energy as you like. We do also need to mention that's playing a Stage 2 and a Stage 1 together, which is awkward, and you've still got the evolution ability, which is not great. But then, you know, something like a Choice Bout, you're doing 230 and KOing most Pokemon V. It's alright. 200 damage is good. But the fact you got that awkward ability, the fact that you need Choice Bout to KO Pokemon V, the fact that you probably need Baxcalibur to get the energy on, it is starting to get a little bit too awkward, a little bit too quickly. Now, I showed you the other day that Alakazam has gone and been revealed. Well, now we've got the full art Alakazam as well. And do remember there is also the alternate art Alakazam, which is coming in the box. And both the non-full art Alakazam do actually have that lovely artwork by Mitsuhiro Arita, which is very, very cool. I love that I love when they give the alternate art to the same artist who did the original art. I don't know why, that just seems very fitting and makes me very happy. So it's a card we talked about before, we've just got the full art version of it here. Now, the first attack, Mind Jack, 90 damage plus 30 more damage for each of your opponent's bench. If they've got a full bench, you're hitting 240 for 2 energy, that's not actually terrible, that's decent. But what we really like about Alakazam is Dimensional Hand. 2 energy, 120, this attack can be used even if this Pokemon is on the bench. So your theory here is you get something in the active, preferably a basic like Klefki as an example. Turns off basic Pokemon's ability so it can completely shut down some decks. And then you can keep Klefki in the active and just be constantly attacking with Alakazam from the bench, doing 120. It's really quite good. And yeah, I know that there's an argument at least here that this isn't that different from just using a hit and run and then putting Klefki back in the active, but I think the big difference here is you don't need to keep getting Klefki in and out the active, you can just leave Klefki there and attack with Alakazam from the bench. I'll be honest with you, I prefer the Mitsuhiro Rita artwork here to the full art, but hey, it's there, we get a look at it, and this is pretty gosh darn cool. And we can have a look at another full art EX here as well, because I don't know why not. We can have a look at Ninetales GX. And the regular Ninetales, I managed to buy 5 packs of 151 over in Japan. The whole 2 weeks I was there, I was trawling Pokemon centers, I was going everywhere. Although I actually picked up quite a few packs of a load of other sets. I picked up a weirdly large amount of Ruler of the Black Flame, for instance, which I did not expect to happen. I only ever picked up 5 packs of 151. But I did pull a regular Ninetales. Only a regular, admittedly. But hey, I pulled a Ninetales. And to be fair, that's got awesome Kawaii artwork. So hard to be too upset. So yeah, now we've got the full art version of it. And you know what, ladies and gentlemen? It's fine. It's alright. We like it. In terms of the card here, single energy 30 plus burn, not good enough on a stage 1. And then 2 energy 80, if you have the same number of cards in hand as your opponent, you do 140 more damage. 220, remember, is the magic number to KO Pokemon V. And this will do that. And in terms of matching hand sizes, it's really not that awkward. Judge is in the format at the moment, so that will give both players 4 cards, which is kind of nice. That came around in Fusion Strike, but then it also came around in Scarlet and Violet. And although it's not always going to work, do remember that Iono will often work here. Now, it gives you both the number of cards equal to your remaining prizes, so, you know, early game, you're both going to have 6 prizes remaining, it's going to work. Sometimes it's not going to work so easily, but there are going to be times, especially in a close game or early in the game, where Iono is actually going to work quite nicely. Won't work all the time, you have been warned. But we got Judge, so it's fine, ladies and gentlemen. You're going to be okay. I kind of like this. I'm not sure it's going to be quite good enough to make a huge competitive impact or anything like that, but there is at least a little bit of potential here. So there we go, ladies and gentlemen. That's what you need to know, and now it's over to you guys. Bunch of cool new cards from 151. I like them, but I want to know which cards you like, whether these or other cards or anything you want to tell me. So go nuts in the comment section, but be nice! And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at TheWasi. That's where we talk about Pokemon and a bunch of other card games. And please do consider checking out patreon.com/PTCGradio, where you can support the channel, get some bonus podcasts, and all kinds of fun things. But by far the most important thing as always, look after yourselves till next time, would ya? Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching PTCG Radio.